Okay, guys, welcome to my Walking Dead mid-season finale for season 3. This episode is called Made to Suffer, and I just thought I'd throw this slide in here to remind myself to thank you guys for watching. I've really enjoyed this series. It's gotten me a ton of views, a ton more views than I usually get on all my other content. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate every single one. And if you want, like, subscribe, comment. I really appreciate comments because it gives me something to do during the week, and it makes us think about what's going to happen, and it really provides me with alternative opinions on things, which I'm really thankful for so many people of my subscribers and watchers for doing. So let's jump right into this episode. This was a strong episode, I would say. It probably wasn't as good as I had expected, but nevertheless, in 3 months' time, come February, no, well, I guess only 2 months for now, about in February 10th, the season returns. And so I'm really looking forward to that. So let's get into it, guys. I hope you guys have watched this because it's pretty good. Right off the start, what happens? We meet a bunch of new people. Now, I went online, and that's why this upload is, well, it's not as late as my last couple uploads have been, but it could have gone up a couple more hours earlier. But these are the new characters that we've met. So we've got, well, it starts off with a woman screaming in the woods. And this was very interesting because this is almost like a new, it's almost like it's a completely new storyline opening up, and it's very strange to see that in a mid-season finale. You usually think that you just close, that's the storylines you have, and then reopen new storylines in the next part of the second half of the season, or in the next start in season 4 or something. But they decided to kind of bridge the gap between now and February with this scene and with these scenes with these people. So we meet 5 new people. They seem to be similar to Rick's group in that they all seem to have pretty good capabilities, probably more skilled than the governor's group, although the governor's group's going to get a lot stronger, I think, in my opinion, in the future. So we got Tyrese here in the top left, and Sasha. I believe they are brother and sisters. So they seem very, very talented, in my opinion. This whole group seems quite skilled. Donna, who I couldn't get a picture of, but she kind of is half in the picture at the bottom here. She seems to be, I guess it's easy to say she's the least skilled because she got bitten. We've only seen her for a little bit, but maybe she was skilled and she just got in a bad situation, because that happens, It happens to the best of them. And then Ben is the son of Alan and Donna, who I also couldn't find a picture of. So we've got now 4 people left. Donna is, I presume, about to be killed in the next episode in February. And so that'll leave only 4 people: Tyrese, Sasha, Ben, and Alan. They seem all really skilled. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the dynamics work, especially when Rick's group returns from their Woodbury adventure, and how they are amalgamated in the group. And we'll talk a bit more about them in the future. Will we actually, or should I? I think we'll talk about them right now. Let's get their whole storyline done right now. So yeah, as you know, they went into the prison. I thought they weren't actually. I thought at first, like, when they're stumbling through here and he said he saw a tower, I was like, yeah, he's definitely found the prison. But then when I saw the wall, I was like, that doesn't really look like a prison. It looks like a town. But it turned out to be the prison after all. And they enter it. And what was really cool about their whole scene there was with Carl coming and finding them in what actually looked to be the same set as where I forgot that guy's name, where Rick basically kills that guy with the where Daryl I think shoots the guy, or somebody shoots somebody you know what I'm talking about. Oscar shoots the little black guy who ran away and tried to kill Rick later on. It looked like the same room. Maybe it wasn't. So that was interesting. Another thing we got to talk about probably, is Carl going in there and rescuing them. Carl is such a boss. He is probably my favorite character right now, and I think in a lot of people's opinions, he's really, I might do actually. I have a Game of Thrones top 10 characters, and I think I'll probably do a top 5 or 10 Walking Dead characters, because they're starting to accumulate a large number of characters like the Game of Thrones is. So it'll be interesting to see other people's variability and who's their favorite and who's not. And maybe if I do put that up, there will be a link in the description from this video to that video. It probably won't be for a couple of weeks or months, though. Anyway, moving along before I get off topic. Carl is a real boss. You see him, he's really started to take over leadership in the group. You see him usurping Herschel's authority. Herschel said, "You shouldn't go running off into the part of the prison," and he's like, "Nope, my father would go." And I mean, he's just a real boss. And I got a picture of him right here. Bam! Like, look at that silenced. That is probably the most gangster silenced pistol I've ever seen in my life. So sick. Yeah, Carl is by far my favorite character in the show, I think. And things are really going to go down with him. For sure. For sure. Anything else we have to say about this whole storyline? I'm really interested to see what happens with, because right now they're locked up, and I'm actually just really looking forward to seeing what happens. I really like adding new characters to the situation, and I think what will be the deciding factor when Rick comes back and whether or not to keep this group is how is based on the fact that the governor knows where the prison is, and so they need all hands on deck to defend against this governor punk. And that's something I'm really looking forward to seeing is these four brought into the fold, because Rick's group is struggling right now. They just lost, as you know by now if you watch the show, they lost Daryl, it seems, for at least an extended period of time. And the governor is going to come guns blazing in the second half of this season. And I don't even know what's going to happen. It's going to get excitingly, amazingly dangerous. Okay, I think that's it for this storyline. We're going to move into the invasion storyline now, which is kind of the meat of the episode in a sense. And so here it is. We have Michonne, Oscar, Daryl, and Rick going through, and they're basically going to shock and awe this town. Now, one thing I didn't like with this whole attack strategy is I didn't feel like there was a good outline of what their goal was. Yes, the goal was to release the captives in Glenn and Maggie. However, it just seemed like they just were kind of just like, let's just break in and just shoot them up or something. I didn't really, and I really feel that Michonne's character has a real problem with communication, and that's really bothering me because you see it on multiple different levels. Like, I know we're trying to, I think the director's trying to make us see what she's thinking by looking at her, but it's very hard because she has, I think, very complex emotions, and I don't think she's able to show that with her. She kind of has a mad face all the time, and it's very difficult to read what's going on in her mind, in my opinion. But nevertheless, I do find her enjoyable. Probably not as much as other people do, and so we'll see how that ranks in maybe that top 5 thing that we might do some point. And what else is going to go on now? Well, we got Andrea is in a huge pickle. She's in a real bad situation right now with the governor, sleeping with the governor, living with the governor, basically being the governor's best friend, although the governor doesn't bestow any responsibility upon her. It's just been a real mess. Just this whole situation. And I don't even think Andrea at the end realizes that Daryl is the attacking group. But, I mean, this is just getting really, really just a sticky situation. The governor and his daughter. Move on to that. Very interesting scene with him at the start there. It's, the governor is a type of character that you really love in half his scenes, and you really hate in the other half of his scenes. In half of his scenes, you're like, man, this guy just bestows so much power and awesomeness. And in the other scenes, you're just scared of him and wowed by his brutality, basically. And that's how I felt in this episode anyway. He's just he's a really mean dude, and so he's scary. And his whole thing with his daughter there was one of those scenes that you really liked, but he's just a dark man. He's just he's scary. He's scary, and he's just going to get, his scariness is only going to escalate as this season progresses into the second half, into part B of this season 3. We had Glenn and Maggie attempted to make an escape. They actually killed a guard, which was interesting. And however, they were once again recaptured and then taken to be executed because they were no longer of any need, which was, I suppose in the governor and Merle's eyes that makes sense. And I didn't think for any point during this episode that Glenn and Maggie were going to die. No way. There was no way they were going to die. And to be honest with you, I don't think anyone actually died from this episode, which is kind of surprising. which I think a lot of people in the YouTube land will probably be like, ah, no one died, it's a waste of time. I don't know, but that's just the way it is. So, what else we got to talk about here? Oh man, we got also Daryl is once they got inside the town there, his loyalties are tested because he knows his brother is in this town, and he still wants to. He believes that Merle can be brought into the fold, and whoops, he just broke my chair. Oh man, darn it! I was leaning back pretty hard and I just broke it. Darn it. Okay, so I have to lean forward now, I guess. Yeah, so I really don't know what's going to happen with Daryl and Merle. Those are kind of difficult names to say because they kind of run into each other within the next season because they're both trapped in that arena. And I have no idea what's going to happen. It seems like from the preview that something happens and it goes into chaos mode. I don't know what happens. But I think, if I had to guess, that walkers just start pouring in there. That is my best guess, probably. The walkers come pouring in, and the place just goes to poop, and Merle and Daryl escape, or one of them's captured or something in the town. So we get into the full-out Michonne. Well, let's go. Yeah, we kind of talked about this already. Michonne and the governor's fight. Michonne actually is going on this mission not to get their friends back. She's on a personal mission to go and kill the governor, and she finds the room with all the heads, which is very interesting and very. At some parts I'm like, this is really dark for the governor to do and really creepy, but at other parts I'm like, it's kind of. He said he does it because it makes him remember how dark and evil it is outside the wall, which is an interesting perspective, and I guess you could justify it, but it's still kind of weird. And so Michonne actually kills his daughter, Epic, but fails to kill the governor. Nevertheless, she grabs a piece of glass and stabs him in the eye, which we have a shot of here, kind of with his. This is when he's giving that speech. Got a lot of my pictures off the wiki today because I wanted to have more than just 2 pictures for this mid-season finale. So this one's off the wiki, and so is the eye patch one. The one at the top right here is the comic book character. As you can see, facially there are not many similarities. The long hair there's no crossover there. The facial hair, no crossover there. The comic book character actually looks more like a Native American or Indian, however you want to say it, Aboriginal person, whereas the governor is very much Caucasian, and so that's interesting. And I think personally the comic book character just looks stupid. I think he looks like a crazy pirate guy, whereas the governor from the TV show here, he has very human elements and he's very realistic at the same time. So he's very believable, so you can have that element of where you're like, oh, I can respect him, but at the other point you're like, oh, he's so scary. So it provides a very good contrast. And so I was actually quite surprised when they did decide to go with the eye patch, but I think this eye patch really just epitomizes how intense and dark this second half of the season is going to be. Governor is basically going to go balls to the wall, nuts, and he's just going to go crazy after the prison. He's going to throw all his resources and try and take out this prison with absolutely everything he's got. Absolutely everything he's got. Okay, I think that's it. We had the big shootout. Oh yeah, and unfortunately I just remembered Oscar actually dies. Oh, I forgot about that actually. I just realized that now that he dies. I completely forgot about that until now. So that's kind of sad because I actually really liked him. But looking back on it, he was completely expendable. And it would have been extremely unrealistic had no one died, and it's still quite unrealistic that they only had one death because they were just riding through the middle of the street. I know there was smoke, but I mean those guys can't shoot at all apparently. And moving into the last little bit to talk about, I think that's about it. We'll just talk about the ending now, and with regards to what I thought about it. In a way, in my opinion, this is almost more of a. It seems like they should have one more episode after this to be the mid-season finale. It seems like this episode really is leading into an even bigger episode. I know this was. It had climatic elements, but it was still very much rising action in a lot of ways, because particularly with the new group, and particularly with the prisoner, I don't know, it just seems like there could be another episode yet where the governor attacks the prison or something. I don't know. That's just my opinion. It seems like I honestly was left a little bit kind of disappointed, to be honest with you, with the ending of this episode, and that's not something you want to have. So I'm looking forward to the February 10th episode, which I believe is called something. I can't remember what it's called. Shoot, darn it! I should have written that down. However, it seemed like a much more of a building block episode than a finale episode, in my opinion. Just especially with those new storylines being opened up. But I'm really looking forward to, in part B. Here, we'll just wrap it up. This is actually gonna be a pretty quick talk compared to my other ones. We're gonna have the governor. He's gonna go absolutely nuts next episode. You'll still have his human elements, I believe. He's not gonna go completely like Shane crazy, but you'll have to be very prepared for his intensity is gonna be ramped up, and the attack on the prison is gonna become the focus, and there will be casualties. I would expect probably 4 casualties for main characters. As far as Daryl and Merle situation, I think that once again, as I said earlier, the zombies are going to come walking in, because in the preview it looks like there's chaos ensuing, and the only way chaos could ensue at this point it would be if walkers came trancing through there, because you got to remember they had about a 5-minute. In the TV show, they had 5-minute, and it probably was more like a 15-minute shooting fest, which would have drawn walkers from, 2 kilometers away or whatever. So there's a pretty good, chance that this place will be overrun, and you'll see serious casualties to Woodbury, which will only further intensify the situation with the governor. And now that he's turned his back on Merle, I really don't know what to say. I mean, I don't think Merle can be loyal to the governor anymore if the governor can't be loyal to Merle, because the governor basically just scapegoated him, and so that's interesting. What I think you might see also in the future is Carl taking the lead. I think he really wants to become the leader of this group, in my opinion, and I think he has the skills to do it. I'm not sure he doesn't have the experience and the wisdom, and he's only a 13-year-old kid, but I think he honestly is very well suited to be a leader, and you see that in this episode, and I think this episode is very much a foreshadowing of the responsibility in which we will see him undertaking in the future. I'm very much excited for that. Michonne will continue to be a big part of the next season, it looks like, with Rick's group, one of the bigger skilled hands that they'll have. And all these characters will continue. Some of them will probably be expendable. I don't know what Ben looks like, because I really only saw glimpses of him. And Donna will die, but Therese and Sasha will probably receive quite a bit of screen time. And so I'm very much interested to see what will happen. And thanks for watching, guys. I think that's about all I have to say. If you have any comments, I hope you have comments. I know you guys have thoughts on this. It's a great episode, a pretty strong TV show. It's not Game of Thrones material, but it definitely provides a quality entertainment and thought-provoking situations, basically. So if you like this video, please give it a like, because in some of my earlier videos I get very conflicting dislikes, and I'm just like, why are these videos getting disliked? I feel like I'm putting out decent reviews, I believe my comments are an accurate reflection of my opinion, and they're not biased or anything. And so if you like the video, I would very much appreciate a like. And what else do I have to say? Yeah, I think that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.